to Polokwane. I'm an entrepreneur in partnership with FNB Summit. As introduced, my name is Keitumetse Lekaba. I am the managing director of this very sexy company called I'm an Entrepreneur. We are alive to help entrepreneurs build and grow their businesses, and every day we wake up to make sure that entrepreneurs in South Africa are capacitated to be able to be sustainable and successful. Today, I wear the business doctor hat, and I promise you I'm not going to be shouting at you guys. We are going to tell each other the need, so that when we leave here today, we don't make the same mistakes that we've been making all this time, particularly when we are applying for funding. My slides are not yet up, but if there's anything that you need to remember for today, we are not here to build fundable business plans. We are here to learn how to build solid businesses that become fundable. Tweet that. Business doctor said, we're not here to build fundable business plans. Actually, you pay accountants to help you with a fundable business plan. But today, we are here to learn how to build solid businesses that become fundable wherever you take your funding application. And we're going to make it quite practical, and we're going to make it quite interactive. So I think if you do have a question, we don't want to lose anyone. So if you do have a question, please ask. As in when we go, so that you don't lose your point, you don't lose your thought. And how we're going to tackle today is that we're going to go through 10 lessons why entrepreneurs don't get funded. And in going through the 10 lessons why entrepreneurs don't get funded, I will then equip you with the resources and tools of how to get funded. Happy? Marike Mundlene? So that's just joking. So that's the slide that I was telling you about we're not here to build fundable business plans. We are here to build solid businesses that become fundable. So before we get into the 10 reasons why entrepreneurs don't get funded, let's understand the landscape. Because we are in business, by virtue of the fact that we're in business, it means we are competing wherever we are. We all understand soccer, ne? Yes. And with soccer, there's different leagues. The bottom ones, Mvela, PSL, and then you guys were singing about Maradona earlier on, and then you have the Champions League there at the top. But let's bring it back into South Africa. When you enter into the South African market, particularly from a soccer perspective, there's 18 teams for PSL. And within the 18 teams, similar to a business, there's stages of these teams. You come in, you start with an idea, so you are in an ideation phase. You don't have a business yet. And then once you started with the idea and you start selling your one product, two products, then you become a startup. You become a startup, you enter into those early stages of business. You probably have a bank account at that point in time. Whether or not you're compliant with SARS, that's another thing. And then once you move out of that startup phase, early stage phase, you move into growth. The stage of business has nothing to do with how long you've been in business for. It's an activity thing. And taking it back to our soccer, teams like Sikukuni, because they are new, you would think they're a startup, ne? But they're in the top 3 on the log. So which means they are, although they are fairly new in the industry, they add growth. And then you have teams like Orlando Pirates that they're maintaining and they're steady. You know, if you're looking for them, you'll always find them within the top 3. So they've been steady for a while. And then you have teams like Kaizer Chiefs. They've been at it. But where they are now, they're probably back at startup phase. They have to probably do a clean sweep. and redo their strategy to make sure that they get back to that maturity that they were at before. Does it make sense? So which means for you as well, don't equate where you are in your business based on time. It's an activity thing. And as and when we go through these 10 reasons or 10 principles that deny us from getting funding, we will then start to speak about how do we make sure that we mitigate against the risks. The first one, our MC has already alluded to. Compliance, compliance, compliance. As a small business, compliance is a non-negotiable. Whether you are going for funding opportunities or even procurement opportunities, at minimum, you at least need to be compliant with CIPC, SARS, and recently, if you've tried to do a CIPC return, labor is creeping in. Can you see how small that BE certificate is? That's intentional, because being a black business does not qualify you to funding. That's an extra. So from your perspective and from your business perspective, please make sure you know what that is and what that means and what you need to do to make sure that you are compliant with CIPC, because it's no longer about paying the 100 Rand per annum. Now you need to complete those documents around beneficial ownership from a CIPC perspective, which is an admin thing. It's hectic. And then number 2 is SARS. And now because SARS and CIPC are linked, what you fill out in the beneficial ownership, SARS can pick up. So if your documents do not correspond, SARS will then start to, I'm sure there's 1 or 2 of you that SARS came into your bank account last year. No. They'll even take 1,000 because they can do that. So from a SARS perspective, at minimum, particularly for you guys, you need to at least be submitting an income tax return once a year. At minimum. And then in your funding applications, in your procurement applications, the minute you say you have an employee, you must at least have PAYE. Pay as you earn, which is linked to UIF. And UIF is linked to the Department of Labor, because SARS is the agent that collects the UIF for the Department of Labor to make sure that when your employees or yourselves, as employees of your businesses, something goes wrong, you can access UIF. And then we have business bank accounts. I don't know why we still struggle with this thing. A business bank account is a non-negotiable. And we'll speak about this later on when we're speaking about financial management. In business, a story of business is told in numbers. And what validates your business is numbers. You know, my UJ students get upset with me. I say, you know, your story, your vision and your mission is very cute, the story that you tell. But the truth of your business is in the numbers that you show us. And remember, from a compliance perspective, the risk of non-compliance means 1, you don't have procurement opportunity, and 2, you can't grow your business through funding. So that becomes critical. The second one is a weak business model. Who sells products here? Okay, a lot of you are selling, and so you're selling to consumers. Your business is a B2C. And others, who's got a B2B? So you're selling to corporates like F&B and Coca-Cola. Okay, we also have a few of those. So let me tell you the importance of a business model and having a value proposition. You see this a lot in funding applications. What's your unique selling proposition? What happened after COVID is that we were introduced to what we call a very conscious buyer. Customers have become very conscious about their buying and the patterns of buying. So it means customers are no longer buying to support businesses. They're buying things that they need. And in buying things that they need, you in your business have to strategize around what is my value proposition that I am giving to my customers. So which means if your business is selling water, what is the value that I'm giving to my customers beyond the water? Because let's be frank, because we are in competition, there's many other water brands. So the value proposition is going to help your business stand out. And let me give you examples of this value proposition that we speak about. Pep, I love Pep. They're my favorite store. At Pep, Pep's value proposition is low price for all. Do they promise you quality? So when you buy a top at Pep, do you expect it to last a year? No, because their promise to you is low price. When you enter here, what they promise is that you will definitely buy this t-shirt less than what you will at any other shop. And then, on the other hand, Woolworths, their promise is quality. What they promise you is quality. Whether you are paying 2 million or not for it, the promise is always quality. So for your business too, you have to decipher for yourself, what is my promise to my customers so that when I sell, I am no longer selling a product or a service, but I am selling the value and the promise of what is helping my customers become better because people buy to become better. We see it a lot when brands are advertising these days. They no longer explicitly advertise a product. If they're advertising a loan, for instance, during graduation season, it's more of a, do you not have enough money for your daughter to go and graduate? Let us help you. Because the value is in what the loan is helping you with. It's not in the product itself. And once you understand the value that you are trying to sell to your customer, the next one is making sure that you have a customer to sell this value to. A lot of entrepreneurs don't get funded because your market is unverifiable. You don't know how to validate the market that you say is going to buy from you. Which means, by virtue of your market not being validated, your projections in your financials are flawed. Because the only way you can project revenue is through the market segment that you have. You also can't be shy about segmenting a market. Let's look at our friends at the ShopRite Group. Our friends at the ShopRite Group have 3 stores. Checkers, ShopRite, and USave. That's market segmentation. Because they wanted to make sure that everybody within South Africa, and we'll take it to South Africa because they also operate in Africa, everybody within the South African context is able to walk into a ShopRite Group store and buy groceries, no matter how deep your pockets are. So if you are high LSM, you must go into a Checkers. If you are middle LSM, you go into the ShopRite. If you are low LSM, you go into USave. And let's be real, all gold is all gold. Yeah. Robertson Spice is Robertson Spice. Yeah. The difference is that when they leave the Checkers factory, they leave in 3 different branded cars. And the price is different. Yeah. So can you see how ShopRite has then segmented their market from a region perspective? You can also do it from a product perspective. And from a product perspective, I'll use my friends Coca-Cola, for instance. Coca-Cola said, we want everybody in the household to be able to pick up a Coke product when they are thirsty, because they are in the business of refreshment. Which means the only people that Coke don't serve are infants and small babies. So from a 4-year-old, if you are 4 years old, you walk into a shop, you pick up what from Coke? Cream soda. They pick up cream soda, right? As and when you grow, you're a teenager, you're picking up normal Coke, Coke original. And then as you become an adult, sugar is a little bit, so which means you are then going to pick up Coke, Coke Zero. And then with illnesses, now the caffeine also, so Coke said, it's fine. You're going to pick up Coke, no caffeine, no sugar. And then Coke said, also, the teenagers, when they're playing sports at school, they go to school, they play sport, they need a refreshment. You pick up a Powerade. And then they said, the adults that need an energy junkie, they pick up Monster, because Monster is theirs. And then they went further. They said, you also have those ones in the household. I don't drink fizzy drinks. Coke said, that's fine. I'll cater for you. Pick up Cappy. And then further than that, you have the ones that say, juice and fizzy drinks are not healthy. Coke said, that's fine. You all pick up Valpre. And then people said, but Valpre is so expensive. Coke said, don't worry. Pick up the Bonacqua. And then Coke said, no, we have other people. The non-drinkers that want to seem fancy when they are having a beverage. They pick up grape tizer and apple tizer, because it's theirs. And then they said one more. The drinkers of the household. Coke said, don't worry, take a Schweppes and dash your alcohol with it. Can you see? That's everybody in the household. So they've made sure that their products cater for every single person in a house, except the children, the toddlers and the infants. So for yourselves, you need to, South Africa cannot be the target market, because that's what we see in business plans. Who is your target market? South Africa. Oh, really? Magogo uses your products. You can't have South Africa as your target market. So your target market, those two words there are very important. Reachable and serviceable. Your target market has to be one. People that you can reach and that can reach you. And number two, importantly, people that are serviceable, which means they can afford your product and your services. Because people that don't afford your product and your services are not your target market. You waste time doing a spray and pray approach, spraying in the air and hoping someone catches a job. Because when you understand your target market, you spray your audience straight in the face. So you always have to make sure that your target market is reachable and they can actually afford the product and the service that you're offering. Do you think a salesperson in an Audi dealership worries when someone is walking into an Uno dealership? No, because it's not their target market. But they worry when they see someone walking into a BMW ownership, because the person had the budget to go and buy that, but they chose the Audi over the BM. So what you mustn't do in target market, don't be a Kaizer Chiefs fan, guys. You know what Kaizer Chiefs fans do? They become happy that other teams have lost. So they're worried, they become happy that Pirates have lost, but they're there at the back. But they're happy and they're celebrating. So in your businesses, be careful of that behavior. And make sure that you understand your market completely so that you can target them directly in the face. I even have people on Instagram trying to sell me natural hair products. I say, my sister, you're wasting your time. I relax my hair. I'm not conscious about what I use. Whether it's natural, what. Your hair makes it soft. I say, I relax my hair. My hair is always soft. So I'm not your target market. Sell me things that I use and you know I need and I want, and it's going to make my life better. And once you've understood Your target market, it helps you understand your competitors. Number 4, competitor analysis. Because when we go into the ground and play and compete, everybody is a sharpened pencil. Everyone is a sharpened pencil. Everyone comes, they promise the world to their clients. Everyone comes, they promise their products are quality. They're promising low cost, whatever the promise is. But if you don't understand your target market, you're going to miss the competitor analysis. Because you won't know who your direct competitors are. And I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs do this to themselves. They say their product is quality and then they try selling it at low cost. And when we're going through the numbers, I will tell you how that affects your projections and why you don't get funded, because you obviously can't afford the funding. Because you're trying to sell quality at a low cost. So as a base, from a competitor perspective, quality is quality. It's a baseline. That's the baseline. I don't think anyone buys to not get quality. Even Pep at their low prices for all. It's not like you buy the shirt today and then tomorrow it tears. And then delivery on time can also not be your value proposition. You can't compete on delivery on time. I don't think anyone buys for you to deliver late. That's a baseline of doing business. So you also can't brag about delivery on time because you're bragging about a baseline. Everyone is a sharpened pencil, and everyone is bragging about that. So when you're trying to compete, it has to link back to your value. Because the reality is, a lot of us are doing products, né? And a lot of entrepreneurs come to me and say, business doctor, I want my product on the shelf. And when you put your product on the shelf, you still have the responsibility to make sure that people buy that product. And the reality is that when you put your product on the shelf, you're putting your new tomato sauce on the shelf. You know what All Gold has? They have the power to put All Gold on special when your product first goes onto the shelf. So that the All Gold users will still buy this All Gold on special. Because remember, back to our soccer example, when you are competing and you are going into the ground, when Skukuni was still new and they played Mamelodi Sundowns, Sundowns doesn't sit and say, shame, give them 2 goals. And then we'll catch up later because they are new. So business is the same. The guys that have been in business longer and are bigger, they don't say shame, give them a chance. Give them a chance because they're new. Let me sit a little bit and let them sell. They compete. They'll even beat you 7-0 if they have to. 7-0 if they have to. So you need to make sure from your analysis, you are competing on the right things. And I'm not a fan of entrepreneurs competing on price because it makes your businesses unsustainable. Unsustainable. But we'll get into that as and when we are going through our financial statements. And once you've understood your competitor analysis, it's important for you to understand the industry analysis. Gone are those days where you have a profile of 5 businesses in one. I do agriculture, I do engineering, I do graphic design, and then I sell clothes, all in one profile. Gone are those days. Because the reality is that when you are submitting funding applications, when you are submitting procurement applications, you need to pick the company that you're putting forward. Which means the company that you're putting forward, you need to understand the industry that you are operating in. When I was doing my MBA, they love this pestle analysis because it just helps you understand the industry landscape. And from an industry landscape, it helps you understand where are we from a compliance perspective, the legislation. What is happening around the politics of this industry? What is happening socially in this industry? What is happening from a technology perspective in this industry, which is key and important? What is happening from an environment perspective? Now we have this buzzword called ESG, where we need to make sure that our planet is clean and our planet is not ruined by plastic and all of those things, and carbon and all of these things. What Trump said is another thing, but we'll bring it back. And then you also have to understand the legal requirements around your industry. What a lot of you do, because you don't understand the industry that you're operating in, when your funding applications come, they are off the trends of that particular industry. So understanding your industry helps you also understand the trends that are happening in this particular industry. I was having a conversation with accounting students the other day, or accounting professionals the other day, and we were discussing how is the role of technology affecting the profession? Because let's be real, an income statement and a balance sheet you can spit out from anywhere now. Your bank account can give you an income statement and balance sheet. You can put your numbers in ChatGPT, it'll give you an income statement and balance sheet. So the bookkeeping functionality of an accountant is compromised because anyone can do that themselves. So we're discussing around from that perspective, where is the industry now going? It's going into a value industry. Because once you have the income statement and the balance sheet, the accountant needs to give you value through how you can make proper decisions based on the numbers that you have. And they need to help you to understand your numbers properly, understand the ratios properly, so that your future decisions are based and validated on the numbers and the ratios. We were even discussing with graphic design businesses the other day, because technology is also affecting their businesses. Let's be real, now anyone can go and you can spit out a logo on AI. Just put your business name and it'll spit out a logo. You can even create your own website. It'll give you a step-by-step on how to create a website, which means the role of the graphic designer is also compromised. And also the way technology is going, it means a lot of people are going to be able to do things themselves, which means their jobs need to also be revised. So it's important for you in your industries that you're operating in to understand the trends so that you don't get left behind and then become redundant. Remember Nokia? Nokia did nothing wrong, but they failed to see trends and move with that. BlackBerry, they did nothing wrong. They failed to see trends. I mean, they were the first one to do mobile chat. They should be leading it. Skype was the first one to do video call meeting functionality. They should be leading the industry. Kodak should be leading. The first cell phone that came out with a camera, they should have woken up. And now DSTV also. Because they're now falling into that, because when streaming came, they didn't wake up enough. And everybody that was on premium went to compact. People that were using decoders, they're using smart TVs, so which means they're losing all of that revenue from the decoders. So which means their model has to change completely. So even for yourselves, you have to look at your industries, the trends that are happening in your industries, so that you don't get left behind. But the important thing is you also need to be looking at, how do I constantly innovate myself to give my clients the value that I've promised them? So that you never lose on that. And that is what makes your business model solid. Because from a Coca-Cola perspective, they sell refreshments. The minute they start wanting to make Simba chips, they're going to have problems. Because they've mastered the business of refreshment. Innovation is good, but you also have to be careful of how you do it. Which goes back to what we learn in strategy around, strategy is all about deciding where are you playing and how are you going to win in where you are playing. So Coke has clearly decided we are playing in refreshments and we are going to win at it. And that's why when you are, even in your households or when you are growing up, when you're drinking no name, when a visitor comes, they're going to send you to buy Coke. So your product needs to get to that level that you might not, when other people are looking at it, they associate you with that. Because the whole point of you going to buy Coke is because you want the association. The financial management part of it is important. And in the financial management part of it, we look at 3 statements: the income statement, the balance sheet, and the cash flow statement. Your income statement is important because that's your operational statement, right? That's your day-to-day. You make your money from your customers, you pay for business operations, you pay for salaries, you pay for your goods, your materials, and then you have your profits at the end of the month and at the end of the year. But the important thing about an income statement is that in an income statement, revenue, remember revenue, that's your vanity. Revenue is not a reflection of your business. Revenue, that's your vanity. If you are making 30 million rand per annum, good for you. And in the income statement, profit then becomes your sanity. Profit is your sanity. It's good to have profits, right? So in your revenue of 30 million, your profits are 1 million, that's sanity, that's good. But the true reflection of your business is the cash flow. Because cash is to a business what oxygen is to a human. If your revenue is 30 million per annum, your profit is 1 million per annum, and you have no cash, we are not interested in that business. Because a business that doesn't have cash flow is at risk. And going back to what I said in the beginning, that's why I don't like small businesses competing on price. Because if a bottle of water is costing you 10 rand to make, you can't sell it at 10 rand 50. Because it means you only have 50 cents per bottle to, 1, sustain the business from an income statement perspective. So paying salaries, your marketing, your bank charges, and your accounting fees, all those things. But on the other hand, this 50 cents per bottle also needs to sustain your balance sheet. Because loans don't sit in an income statement. So if you're only making 50 cents per bottle, this 50 cents needs to stretch you from operations, but also from paying back loans. It's not enough. It's not enough. And that's why in funding applications, we are so obsessed with gross profit margins. Because your gross profit margin is an indicator of the sustainability of your business. If your bottle is costing you 10 rand and you're selling it at 15 rand, it means you have 5 rand per bottle to sustain the business. Chances of you surviving in your business, making sure that you can afford the loan, are higher than if you're selling it at 10 rand 50. Because the mistake that we make as entrepreneurs, when we price, we don't look at how much this thing is costing us. Our first inkling is to look next door and see what the neighbor is charging. And then after you see what the neighbor is charging, then you say, that's fine. If they're charging 10.50, I'm going to do 10.45. But at that point, even the guys that are doing B2B businesses, you're giving big business products for free, for getting foot into the door. Because some of my students say, but business doctor, it's to get foot into the door. But foot into the door in a 3-year contract is detrimental to you. Because you're not going to be able to even finish that contract within the 3 years because you're not going to have enough money to even sustain that particular contract. So from a financial management perspective, make sure that when you are submitting or when you are doing your finances And when you're starting out, you can do it yourself. Just go in Excel. Remember when you were growing up, the ladies that used to sell ice and mazimba, they used to have a book and write everything in the book. If you ask the lady, on the 12th of Feb, how much did you make? She just goes to a book. And she can see exactly how much she made and how many ices she sold. So for us as entrepreneurs, because we are so fixated with systems, we are too lazy to write in our books. And the reality is, even from a SARS perspective, if your accountant has done the numbers for you, when ish hits the fan, you are the responsible party. So you have to make sure that you understand every single number. But in understanding the number, my point is make sure that you have enough gross profit margin to sustain your business. And if you are going to apply for funding, make sure that you can actually afford the funding that you're applying for. Because the reality of a funding application is that they're not going to give you money if you can't afford it. Even if the money is coming at no interest from an ESD company or an ESD loan or whatever it is, you still have to be able to afford it. And gone are the days of grants. Gone are the days of grants. Unless you are a youth, I don't know, then you can go to NYDA for a youth grant. But if you're not a youth-owned business, people are not giving grants anymore. Even enterprise and supply development practices and loans, you have to pay back the loan amount. It might be cheaper than what you would pay from a commercial funder, but you have to pay it back. So from an affordability perspective, you can only afford your loan if your gross profit margins are right and your revenues are enough. But your revenues are only enough if you have a market. And it can't just be a market. It has to be a verified market. And I always say this to my students, think about trying to borrow your sibling money that doesn't work. Your sibling comes to you and says, please give me 1,000 rand. I promise you I'll give it to you at the end of the month. And then you say, but where are you going to get the money from? Please trust me. End of the month, I'm going to give it to you. At that point, you have two options. One, you're borrowing this person this 1,000 rand, knowing you're not going to get it back. Because you know they don't work, so where are they going to get the money from? Their statement of I promise is not validated. Or two, you are going to go into your head, borrow them, and think they're telling the truth to get this money, and you don't know where they're getting the money from, but you trust that they're going to bring it. But funders don't work with the trust that I know you're going to bring it. You have to validate it. And the validation is in the market and the revenues, and the gross profits must be enough to run your business and to pay back the funding. Because you're also not going to get funding if it's going to put your business in distress. Funders can't do that to your business. It's part of their responsibilities as a lender. And then the next one, you know, people are always like, but business doctor, we don't have history. That's a lie. That's a lie. You have history, but you just don't have it documented. Your history started from the first 1 rand you went and registered your business at CIPC, or your history started with the first 1 rand you went to go buy product and sold it to your customers. The problem is that we don't document the history. And documenting the history doesn't mean you're putting together a business profile. Documenting the history means you have numbers, because history of a business is validated in numbers. And that's why it's so important to make sure that you have the right management accounts and financial statements in place for you to have the right history in place. And that's why now, even from a compliance perspective with CIPC and SARS, you have to put in the number. And you can't put in the number in your return if you haven't done the numbers. So you are forced to do the numbers so that your history can be on record of SARS and CIPC. Even when you are not making money, you must still record that. If you are making losses, you must still record that. And one day, from a SARS perspective, those losses are going to help you when you now start making money and you have to pay into the tax. They actually help you. So from a history perspective, it has to start from day one and not one day. Because nothing is a red tape. It's only a red tape because we don't do it from day one. We do it one day. And when you're doing it one day, accountants always come to me and say, but business doctor, your people want me to do their finances for 5 years, but they think I'm going to charge them 1 year. No, that's not fair. If you haven't done your books, then you must do 5 years of books. The accountant is going to charge you for the 5 years, not the 1 year. Because they're going back and fixing. So you have to start day one. It can't be a one-day situation. And our day one, for the ones that haven't started, is today. The next one that entrepreneurs get angry with me about is security. You know, entrepreneurs say, but business doctor, we are such a small company. We don't have security. What type of security do people expect from us as small businesses? As a startup and as a small company, your security is in your market. Your security is in your market. If you don't have a market, that's a problem, because it means you don't have security. And then, close your eyes. Imagine you are at a bank, or you are at a funder, whatever funder it is. You are looking for, let's say 5 million for your business growth. You're looking for 5 million for your business growth. You're having a conversation with this funder. The aircon is blowing, you know, that money aircon is blowing in the bank. You guys are speaking nicely with each other. You're having the conversation. You're telling them about your business. And they say, okay, I hear you. And then they ask you, where do you currently live? In your head, answer them about where you currently live. And then after you tell them where you currently live, then the funder on the other side says, okay, I could probably give you this 5 million. However, that place you told me that you live at, please put it down as security so that if your business doesn't become successful, I can at least get my money back. Are you comfortable? Open your eyes. Are you comfortable? Why are you not comfortable? It's your business. Why can't you take a risk on your business?
You don't want to lose it.
What's making you uncomfortable about losing? But before you sell, and for your business to have cash flow, you need to have the right price so that your business can have the right cash flows. Because if you don't have the right price and you're competing on pricing, it means your business is probably not sustainable. Even if you're selling 1,000 products a day. You're on activity and you're not on making money. Make sure that you go home and you ask yourself that question again. What do I need to do in my business to get to a point that gives me enough courage, enough confidence to put up whatever I need to put up as security? Because I must take risk in my business as much as I expect the funder to take risk in my business. As a funder, I cannot take the risk alone. And then the 10th point, I love this image. Just because it fits doesn't mean it belongs. Some of you need to fire yourself in your businesses. As a business person, we wear 3 hats. We wear 3 hats. You are a shareholder. You are a shareholder, which means you own the business, which means your payment as a shareholder in the business is dividends. And you can only take out dividends once a year when your business is making money. when you have profits and there's cash in the bank to pay yourself dividends. The second hat that we wear is a director hat, which means you are responsible for the operations of the business. When the business needs to go to court about whatever it is, the director comes forward because you make the strategic decisions about the business. And you earn director fees. And then the last hat that you wear in your businesses is that of an employee. So you employ yourself in your business to be the employee of a business, whether it is the technical person in the business, whether it is the managing director or the CEO of the business. But you don't have to be all three. You don't actually have to be a director if you are the shareholder of your businesses. So from a quality of the leadership team, you've heard the saying, funders back the jockey. Funders back the jockey. So if you're putting the wrong men forward or the wrong women forward, it could be detrimental to your applications. So make sure in your businesses you put the best man forward. And in putting the best man forward, entrepreneurs always say to me also, business doctor, but they're asking me for an organogram. I'm a new business. I'm alone in my business. I do all the activities by myself. How am I going to have an organogram? But what we forget is that an organogram is a function of activity, not humans. Even if you are one person in your business, you are doing the finances. You are doing the banking yourself. You are doing the ops every day. You are waking up and doing operations. Every day you're waking up, you're probably doing marketing on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or wherever it is that you're doing the marketing. Every day you are waking up and then you are doing the HR because you've employed yourself. You know, when you take off, then you tell yourself, oh, today I'm taking off. Okay, MD, okay. Right? So the function happens. The only difference is that one person, when you're starting out, is doing this particular function. So even in your applications, you must still submit your organogram, even if your name is on all of them. But what you then show is that as and when your business grows, the name of the person responsible for the function changes. Because as and when you grow, you change your name from the accounting because now you're going to pay the accountant and you're not paying the accountant 1,000 Rand because they're definitely not going to give you the right books. You have a proper accountant that you're paying and then you change the name. As and when your business grows, you get an admin person to do the admin, your name changes, you put in that new admin person. Just like that. So the function doesn't change, it's the name of the person that changes. And also in your applications of funding, we see it a lot. There's 3 partners. The accounting partner on paper is the marketer. Why? So you have to make sure that what you have written defends itself and is validated enough for the funder to take it forward. Because if I'm going through 1,000 applications, I'm not going to phone 1,000 people. Because you only take the ones that are compelling. And the ones that onset, they speak for themselves and they validate themselves, particularly from a numbers perspective. The numbers are important because we can't look at a funding application without numbers. The numbers tell the story of the business. So with that said, let's jump straight into questions.